Today I want to go over how to find air leaks at the pump. So leak hunters, get ready. We're going to do a little lesson and I'm going to try to put these out as much as I can as I run into them. All right, one way is just to turn the pump on and off. And you can see here it's squirting out under the lid. Here's another one under the lid. Those are pretty simple ways of doing it. You also see it coming out of other areas on the suction side of the pump. So what we're doing here is we were having a problem finding this air leak, and the homeowner was going crazy with air bubbles going into the pool. So what we're doing here is I have the skimmer plugged up, the drain plugged up, the vacuum plugged up, and we're putting pressure in it. And when we walked over to the pump, we want to look at all of the suction lines and see where the water is coming out. And here we have it right there. We have the air leak and the water's coming right up through that stem. You see the water coming out. So that's the cause of this air leak. A little hard to find in other methods of doing it. And we found this to be the easiest, and we can pick up every spot that's leaking on the suction side. A lot of times, even though we do pool leaks, we're always asked to look for air leaks also. So we had to try to specialize in doing this. And we found that this is one of the ways that we do it. So here's some areas where you could look for leaks or dripping water. At front of the pump is always a good place. The pump lid, like we showed you before. Underneath, make sure you check all of the connections to see if you see any dripping water squirting out. Here again, there's a little crack at that joint where that coupling's going in. And here we got it under pressure. It's coming out of that valve. And this is one of those swim jets. This was a hard one, and there was actually two places that was leaking here. Ball valves, can't rebuild those. You just have to replace them. Those ball valves are really old. Here's another one at a coupling going down. And over here on top of the pump, another common area. Those are easy to find. Just turn the pump on and look for it, and you'll see those. All right, so let's go over rebuilding the valve to stop those air leaks from going in the valve. All right, now if you don't know how a valve works, you turn the door and it opens up. So you can kind of see right through it. Didn't get the angle very good. And we always mark our valves before we touch them and take them apart to make sure we put them back together. And also, just in case we get all confused and we start putting the wrong valve with a wrong valve, and what we do is we'll mark one with 1 slash, another one with 2 slashes, and then the third one with 3 slashes. All right, we're going to take off that top nut, pull off the handle, and you're going to see all of the screws. There's 8 screws there. So we're going to take out the screws. I got an extra long screw adapter, and that's so I can get into tight places. Sometimes they put these valves underneath other pipes, and I can't get in there with the smaller one, so we have the long one. All right, put your screws aside. Now what I like to do is I like to put the handle back on, especially when these valves get old, they get kind of stuck. Screw that back down, screw it on too tight, it'll snap, and then just pull it out. Now see the door? So the door closes it, and as you turn the handle, the door opens it, and it's closed again. All right, so let's take this thing apart. So we're going to take this back apart. Make sure you don't lose it. This thing likes to get lost really easy. Put it aside, and then the door is going to pop out. Just pop it out. And then this is a Pentier. So on a Pentier, it has 2 O-rings, and it has that plastic lug. That plastic lug gets worn out all of the time. So I'm just going to pull those out so you can see them. So you replace those 2 O-rings that are on there. And sometimes they're a little hard to get off, and then they're really sticky. They stick to your fingers. So I'm going to put the 2 back in. We're going to make believe we just put new ones on. You push those on. You put that little plastic lug back on. And then I like to lubricate my O-rings. So we're going to lubricate all of the O-rings and all of the rubber. All right, so now I'm going to take off the rubber on the door. So you'll have to do that when you have a leaky valve. You turn the valve off and it doesn't seem to stop the water. All right, so you could buy the kit. The kit comes with a new door, and the door is actually called a diverter. And it comes with all of the O-rings and the rubber that goes around the diverter. All right, so I'm going to use a pick to pull this out. Sometimes it comes out easy, sometimes it doesn't. This is a new valve, so I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it out, but it'll come out. Just kind of work it. And you see the pick that I'm using, that makes it the easiest. And that plastic piece will pop right out. So we're going to make believe we have a new piece of rubber, and we're going to stick it back in. And this is the tricky part, getting that rubber seated in there. So I'm going to work it and just push it in. So sometimes putting the screws in first helps. Sometimes you leave them a little loose so that plastic piece can move a little and you can get the rubber in. This time I just went and made them tight. All right, so there's another way you could do this. You could just go buy a whole new valve. That's going to be double the price. You can buy the kit, which comes with the diverter, and you won't have to put in that rubber piece. And if you're not going to replacing the diverter and the rubber on the diverter, you can just buy these O-rings separately. So that's the O-ring that goes around the top. So again, make it believe we just put a new one on. We're going to lubricate it. Make sure we get a really nice seal. And also with that lubricant on that top, we don't have to make the screws very tight. And you don't want to do that with plastic. So we're going to lubricate around the diverter. This way we get a good seal and it moves nice and smooth. Yeah, I saw a little piece I got to work back in. All right, we're gonna put that in now. There's a little lug at the bottom. Oh, there it is. That little lug goes in that hole that's down there. And sometimes you could put some lubricant on there to help it snap in. And just kind of push it and it should snap right in. There it goes. So I'm making sure that that's seated right. I'm lining up the screw holes and I'm gonna put all the screws back in. Now, one thing you got to watch is you see that I use a drill, and I adjust the drill all the way down because I don't want to put them in tight with the drill. I just want to get them started. And then I'm going to go around with the screwdriver in a bit. You'll see it. So straighten up a little. And there we go. I'm adjusting it down. You can't see it. I got it around 7 on this one. Every drill is different, so you're going to have to figure it out. All right, and then I'm going to go in a crisscross pattern. And you can't really tell, but there's hardly any torque on that. And it's stopping. I could stop it with my fingers if I wanted to. Now I'm going to take a number 3 screwdriver and I'm going to hand tighten them again, crisscross pattern. And then I'm going to go over, once I finish this pattern, I'm going to go over a couple of others that I started in the beginning because they might be just a little loose. And if you notice, I didn't put a lot of pressure on. I'm going to put the handle back on. Now, we're going to go over on the Pentaires. They have those little stoppers on them. And see, they can turn it all the way around and you can stop the water in both ways. So depending on where you want this diverter to stop is how you're going to adjust it. So some people memorize what the numbers are on the top. The Pentaire has numbers or degrees written on it. I just find it easier to move the top where I want it, look down and see where it lines up, and that's where I'm going to put it. Let's see how this works out. So right there, that's where I wanted to stop. That's where I'm going to put it. And I'm going to test it out. And I didn't know this, but see that other one fell out? And I just noticed it right there. So I'm going to take that top back off. Yep. And that one just keeps going wherever it wants to go. So I'm just going to set it back. And right now I'm looking at the holes where I think I want to put it. And I'm going to turn it to where I want to set it. And that's the spot that I like. So like I said, you could put it wherever you want. Sometimes you only want it to open up a little bit. Sometimes you want it to open up all the way. If this was a three-way valve, that's where there's 3 pipes connected to it. You may want it to stop in a different position. So I got it set. It's stopping where I want it to stop. Just tighten that up. And that is it. That is a rebuilt valve. All right, if you want to learn more, just keep watching us, subscribe to us, and we'll let you know when new material comes out. And join our Pool Leak Hunters Club. It's totally free. It is a weekly newsletter. And this is only for those professionals who are in the business or those really serious about learning the pool leak business and the pool service business. All right, and thank you for sticking around.